Hey, Snake Doctor, puff, puff, pass.
Yeah, I'm up at 38.
We're going way back out. Yeah, it's still morning here. Only 2 hours of difference in it, so it's still morning. But anyways, puff, puff, pass. Snake Doctor, you know who it is.
Number 20, Illinois, try number 20. $746. Man, you're sounding good. Coming in here real good to Illinois. Number 20, Illinois. We're back to you. Well, I appreciate that 746. You're sounding good yourself.
Hey, Minnesota Mouse, I got the Watergate rolling there, break.
Appreciate the give back. Number 20, Illinois. We're
I
sitting
saw you
there.
pop it up. I keyed up a couple times to see where I was coming in at. Not hitting you really strong though, but that'll be changing here in about I don't know, about a month.
Actually, you're doing better than you think you are because I have about 30 dB of attenuation rolled in. I've got 30 decibels of attenuation rolled in so that my mobile doesn't kill the Watergate. If I turn the RF gain on the attenuator on the input of the SDR up, then my mobile's going to kill the base radio. And but so your signal's about 30 dB stronger, say 6S units stronger than it is now on the gate.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, you don't want to burn up your system. Yeah, I did that with my last SDR. I used to use it for receive, and yeah, I burnt it up.
Well, anyway, 746, I lost you.
I got to buy another one for receive.
Take care over there, number 20. We're sitting here listening.
Yeah, exactly. So I got you and number 20 rolling up in there, 20 and up in Illinois, and yeah, it's relative. So it's there mainly for just to receive characteristics and quality, but not so much for the signal strength. So anyway, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You've been down that road before.
Yeah, having just about all of us. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I've been kind of curious of what it sounds like, so it's been, like I said, I've had a couple gates where I can hear myself in there, but there's so much traffic, like on the bowl and stuff, I just have a hard time getting up in there. But I'm getting a 3,000 here probably in about a month. And, should be a game changer, I would think. Plus, what else we get?
Radio station 1137.
And I get Hazer. Yeah, pretty much spinning a butt roll, I guess.
Oh, I guarantee that's going to be a game changer and a half. Yeah, absolutely. The Hazer. And you know, with the Hazer, keep in mind, I don't know if you're going to change towers or what, but when you orient your tower, you know, with the Hazer, if you don't go all the way up, you can turn your antenna about 120 degrees, you know, and cover a small swath. You can't go around because the back of the antenna will hit the tower, you know, and so you got a limitation. But if you don't go all the way up with it, you can change your antenna height. And antenna height is worth a lot. So it depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to them in a direction where you can raise and lower the antenna without the tower getting in the way, you know, then you can certainly pick up a few dB or actually a couple of S units, 12 dB of signal strength by being in the right point, you know, height-wise. It's a secret that's just slowly getting let out of the bag. Every so often I say it, and I've done plenty of tests, so I know the facts are the facts. But you would gain as much by proper antenna height for the conditions at hand as you will with the amplifier that you're going to be getting. So you combine the two, and you're going to be wicked to break.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I didn't know you could actually, I know that you could bring your antenna down and then turn it a certain degree and stuff, which I only go East Coast and West Coast. I rarely ever go anywhere else. So, yeah, that would make a big difference. I just didn't know you could key up with the, with the tower being in the way like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the tower doesn't really play a part in the whole thing. If you tune your antenna at the top and then drop the antenna down, it might change it a little bit, or vice versa. If you tune it with the, maybe 5 or 10 feet down from the top of the tower and then go up to the top, it might change a little bit, yeah. It's not going to be rock solid, but it won't change by enough to worry about. And, if you got a 1.15 or better, you're not going to hurt anything. I guarantee that. You won't hurt your 3,000. You won't, it'll just talk just fine. I mean, shoot, my bass radio, I've got a horrible SWR in it up on channel 28. It's not so good on 6, but it's worse on 28. Because of the fact that I tuned it way back when I had the Jam Pro antennas up there. When the 7-element antenna was about halfway up the tower and the Jam Pros were at the top, I tuned the antenna. And then I took the Jam Pros down and put the 7-element up at the top and never retuned it. And it's out of whack pretty bad. But I think that effect is a greater effect because the antenna was, had a lot of parallel elements that were out there hanging over the top of the Yagi, whereas the tower going up through the antenna is pretty much invisible to break.
How that works. Well, that's good to hear because I've had one hazer before and I never bothered keying up when it was down even a little bit because I didn't want to mess up anything, and usually I'm pretty gutsy about that, and I'll do it anyway just to see what happens, but I never did do it with it. I only had it for about 4 months, and then I ended up moving. Couldn't take it with me, so I was all pissed off about that. But, no, I'm going to be doing that. I wanted to get a regular tower, crank up, but the ones I've been finding around here, man, they want so much damn money for them, it's just not worth trying to do that. I just figured I'd buy a hazer and be done with it.
Oh, I hear that, I do. Yeah, the towers have gone through the roof, man. When I bought my tower, it's a U.S. Tower 572 MDPL or MDLP, MDPL, I think it is, heavy-duty tower, and with the electric crank up and all that stuff, and it was $10,000. Not to mention the $1,000 worth of concrete and rebar in the hole, to hold it up. And now that very same tower from U.S. Tower is about $30,000. So they got expensive, their break.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. I got one out here. I think it's a 50-foot, 60-foot, something like that. Guy wants $5,000 for it, and I went out there to look at it, and there was dents in it, everything, and I'm like, well, this is not going to be a safe tower, and it would be a lot of work to try to knock all them bars back out where they're supposed to be. And apparently what they did is they didn't realize it was a crank up when they first got there. How you don't know that, I don't know. But instead of taking it down properly, they just cut the legs at the bottom and said timber.
Oh my gosh, what a bunch of idiots. Oh well. Oh man. Well, I'll tell you what, that's you want to be safe, you don't want anything with dented legs and structural instabilities. That would be a nightmare and a half. So, yeah, that's if you do find one where the metal's in good shape, well, then you got things like you got to recable it, you got to fix all the other parts on it, and there's usually a reason why the price is what the price is. But, my second tower I have over here, I've got this 572, and then on the ground I have a 75-foot PG&E tower. It's a big 20-foot sections. It's not tubular, it's solid steel. solid steel bars, solid steel vertical, solid steel everything, and I'm going to put that tower in, and I've got to build a track for it because the knuckles where the sections come together are bigger than the tower. So I got to build a track so I can have the hazer fit on the outside of it and go up and down. And I'm going to put a hazer on that one. That'll be the first hazer I ever had to break.
Yeah, I like the idea of the hazers, because those ones you can bring all the way down to the ground damn near. It's where you can actually get at it instead of having to tilt it over and then get on the ladder to adjust stuff. And yeah, I just think they're an all-around better idea.
Oh yeah, I agree. You know, even with the bucket truck, I can go up 53 feet and reach 35 feet, 30 feet. 30 feet. I can go up 53 and reach 30, but you know, there's a lot of stuff that you want to do and work on down on the ground, you know, and with the hazer, you can bring it all the way down and it's safe, you know, and then I just use the bucket truck for tuning and that kind of thing. But yep, very cool. I'll tell you what, that's your station is phenomenal as it is. I can only imagine what's going to happen when you get a little bit more signal strength. It's going to be insane to break.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing, because I'm going from a 4-element to a 5, and I'm going from 1,000 watts to, well, what 3,000 does, 10, 13, somewhere around there. Yeah, it should be a significant difference, I would think.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty good peak power. You know, I figure my plans for the Smallville are going to be similar, but I won't be running the 3,000 all out because I don't have enough power to run it on board. I could modify stuff, I suppose, but I only have a 7 kilowatt generator, so 7 kilowatts. Efficiency factor, blah, 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 blah. I'd be lucky if I do, you know, 5,500 to 6,000 watt peaks and carrier down around 1,000 watts. But that'll be a whole lot better, you know, that's still a whole lot better than my 150 watts of break.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that mobile gets out pretty good. I'm not having any problems. I got a couple people calling again, but...
10-4, yeah. I think I owe most of it to the antenna. You know, obviously antenna. This little 4-element antenna is a pretty good design. It gets out and it reaches out and does some talking. So I think it's a good little 4-element. If you don't have neighbor issues behind you, you know, I hardly ever have to worry about what's behind me or who's coming in the back door. So the way I designed it is it meets all the criteria that I wanted, but I had to sacrifice front to back ratio. So the back door is pretty open. I mean, I can talk out of the back. I can turn this thing around and talk out of the back door pretty good. So anyway, it's you know, it's got good gain and it's got good bandwidth and it fits the van the way I want it to fit, you know, for weights and balances and size and all that. So it meets all the criteria, but it's got a pretty horrible back door on it.
Yeah, that's like, I'm just running serial 4-element, you know, and getting a Mako 4. I thought, my serial, that damn thing, yeah, I can talk to anybody, it don't really matter, you know, back door, sides, don't matter. They go away a little bit, but they still come in there plenty strong, so I just figured I'd get a 5-element and maybe do with that good rejection in the back end, you know, make double grounds on the back side of it, you know, so that it's got double pushing away from everything, you know what I mean? I haven't had my breakfast, so my brain's not working.
For reflectors, doubling up on reflectors doesn't double the back door, doesn't even really help. Actually, it could hurt you. They're parasitic elements, so they're tuned, their length, the size, the shape, you know, whether the diameter and the length and the distance away is more important and more crucial than don't think of it as a screen. Don't think of it as a blocking device. It's a parasitic element, and it's part of the antenna. So you can't just add another back door and make it do what you think it's going to do. It's more important to have the backdoor antenna element the specific right length for the desired effect. So I think what you might want to do, just to double check and triple check everything, is download Quick Aggie 4. It's free. Download QY4 and then download DOSBox, because you'll probably need a DOS simulator. Unless you've got an XP machine or before, you'll need Quick Aggie 4 and DOSBox. And then you can plug all your element dimensions into QY4, and then you can massage it to get exactly what you want to bring.
Okay. I mean, I've tried it once with a 4-element. I did the double deal. The only thing that changed was my SWR. Really rejection from the back. I don't know. Yeah, I do a lot of working on them. I don't know a lot about them, but I've done a lot of filming. I think you're right on that. I never seen that much of a difference.
Roger, and don't forget, SWR in and of itself does not mean anything at all whatsoever with performance of the antenna. SWR just means that the load is a happy load for the transmitter. So, a 1.0 to 1 SWR doesn't mean that you're transmitting really well. Radiation resistance and the gain and the layout of the antenna will affect that. And you can have a great transmitting antenna with a poor SWR, and it'll still outperform a bad transmitting antenna with a good SWR. So don't go. I mean, of course, you don't want to sacrifice SWR. You don't want your stuff to be unhappy. But SWR does not make an antenna work good to break.
Oh, right. Yeah, I know. I've had it, like mine, I've got mine running at about a 1.2. I had it down to a 1.1. So I redid it again, it came up, and then that gets out much better than it did before.
10-4, yeah. You can certainly, if you redid it by changing the element spacing or lengths, then, if it gets out better now, it's because you've increased the performance of the antenna. So that's a good thing. But, a lot of times once you design an antenna, the design is right. If you got the lengths and spacing and all that perfect, then the only place you can change the antenna element or the feed point impedance of the antenna is at the driven element. And it doesn't matter what you have to do to the driven element. If you know the rest of the Aggie is right, it doesn't matter if the driven element has to be longer or shorter, or a gamma match, or a hairpin match, or a direct feed, whatever you got to do to feed it to make it happy, and that's what you got to do. And the rest of it will all work really good. But if you change the element spacings and lengths to make the SWR look good, that's just like taking a perfectly wrong antenna, a perfectly wrong antenna, and changing coax length to get the good SWR, which doesn't help you at all, either. So you can see where I'm going with that to break.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of that, they do that with jumpers and everything else, trying to right. And I know, for the most part, the jumpers, it's that main length that makes the difference, I believe, and you just got to keep working on it.
10-4. Well, once you tune the antenna with an electrical half-wavelength piece of coax, or a multiple of electrical half-wavelengths, then the antenna is tuned properly. Then the case of the jumpers have an effect because of the phase angle relationship. And so people swear by, 18 foot, 6 foot, 3 foot, half wave, quarter wave. None of that means anything, because ultimately, as soon as you introduce any inductive or capacitive reactance on the input of the stage that you're feeding while it's in use, for example, an amplifier or a couple amplifiers or 3 amplifiers, then what you're looking at is you want maximum power transfer. And depending upon the phase angle and depending upon the input tuning of those amplifiers, you're going to use, and it's okay to do this, you're going to use the coax length to adjust for maximum power transfer. And there are 2 ways people like to look at it. One is the wrong way, and that is they want to see the same carrier in with more out, but the resolution is very poor. So the way to do it is to look at make sure you tune everything into 50 ohms, And then the way you do it is you want to see what coax length will give you the same power at a lesser carrier. That will give you more resolution. So let's say you got a 2-pill amplifier into a 50 ohm load, and you try different coax lengths, and you find that you had your drive power at say 2 watts, and you change your coax length, and you can make your 100 watts of power, but now you can do it with only 1.5 watts or a watt. Well, now you got the right length, and you can do that using barrels and connectors and jumpers and little 1-foot sections, and keep going. And every half wavelength it'll change. So if you've gone too far, you can keep going and come back to a good spot, or you can back up and come back to a good spot. But about 1-foot lengths, you can break it down even smaller than that, but I use 1-foot lengths, and it works good. And then that way you've corrected for phase angle adjustment, and that's how and why jumpers make a difference. And a lot of people just go by, if they say, well, you need 6 feet, well, if you got 6 feet and it's RG58 or RG8 or RG, I don't know, 214 or 213 or some other coax, the velocity factor is going to change from coax to coax. So 6 feet doesn't mean anything because the velocity factor will change, right? And likewise, a quarter wavelength or a half wavelength or something doesn't mean anything because the phase angle is what it is, and you can't, it's going to be what it's going to be for your application specifically. So that's why you use the different jumpers and barrels, and we don't care about how much power we lose in a barrel on a feed to an amplifier. You don't use barrels on the output of your amplifier, but on feeding your amplifier, if you got to use 5 barrel connectors to get the right length of coax, and then you can obviously measure if it's all the same. Velocity factor, you can then take that piece of coax and measure it and say, okay, we're going to make 1 coax with no barrels in it, and you're going to be okay. But maximum power transfer and dynamic headroom is what we're all about to bring.
Hey, good morning, Motormouth Mall, Bootlegger, Texas. I'm going to get out. Good morning to you. Happy 2024.
Hello, Bootlegger. I hear you out there. Happy 2024 to you to break. Thank you much. I appreciate that. It's just a van out here, Motormouth Mall out here working this van, looking around the East Coast, your West Coast, under Modulated Beast. Motormouth Mall got down right there, breaker. And the Watergate's rolling, so I got that rolling up on YouTube right now under MMM Video Gates. Hey, take care out there, Motormouth Mall waving and stepping. Hey, Minnesota Mouse, Motormouth Mall waving, and Bootlegger and all the rest of Motormouth Mall, your West Coast. Under Modulated Beast, got down.
Hey, happy 2024 to you, Motormouth Mall, Bootlegger, Texas. I'm gone. Bye-bye.
410, Bootlegger, Texas. Motormouth Mall stepping. I don't know. I gotta wash off my boots to break. Hello, out there around Central Texas. Let me look around Texas real fast. I hear you rolling in on the side of the antenna, but I was looking up around Minnesota and all up that area. Let me turn this antenna to looking down around Texas to break. I think I'm looking around Texas. .410 Mellow Yellow around Central Texas, sounding real good. Big audio too, coming up in here in fine style. They break. Big old wave right back at you. Mellow Yellow, Central Texas, with a beautiful audio, by the way. Doing a good job. You got that bodacious sound working around my hometown. A Mellow Yellow, Motormouth Mall, your West Coast. Under Modulated Beast, working the van, got down, breaker. .410 And 410. By the way, I got the water gate rolling. The signals, don't worry about the signal strength being low. I had to turn in about 30 dB of attenuation to keep the mobile from destroying the base station. But you should be on the water gate, and the audio quality is going to be there, break. Well, 11:37, you got up in here, no pain, no strain, and I'm going to say 73 is my coffee cup is empty, and I'm going to get out of here and get to work. So I got some things I got to do, so we'll catch you another time, another way. 11:37, Motormouth Mall working these 150 birds in the Mobile. Stepping by, bye. You too, have a good day, Motormouth Mall, stepping, and I'm out.